Hey y'all, I'm back again. This one is actually called A Tale of Old. Um, it started out as a poem, which I'm going to read right now. But I revised it like a couple of months or so ago and turned it into a book. So the book is on Amazon, but here's the poem A Tale of Old. Secure the bailey, let none through these gates. Defend thyself against the evil one that awaits. Hot tar and archers, be at the ready. Hold now. On my say, shoot steady. Aim true, men, in your hands you hold life. Our people, our crops, our animals, your wives. And a heavy ball from a catapult never quite made it over the wall, but the impact caused each section of brick to crack and fall. It took 4 men down. Oh, what to do? The brave soldiers numbered only a few, none to match the force that lay beyond the castle's keep, gathered in the night while the castle's occupants were asleep. And the hot tar thrust over the side. Oh, what agonizing screams! Archers, fire! Archers, fire! Oh, so slowly the motion seemed. Screams, shouts, bleeding bodies. Her men were dying. But she had to keep going. No time for crying. The south wall had been breached. With sword in hand she fought, fighting for her people, remembering everything she had been taught. "My lady, no, you must run and hide!" And she turned around. Young Ulrich, her knight in training, fell to the ground. So young, oh so young, and she thrust her sword through the enemy's chest. Ulrich trained so hard, eventually he could have been one of her best. A tear slipped her eye, but she fought the rest back. No time to mourn now, not while they were under attack. She felt the sting, she felt the blood spill from her right thigh, but she fought on, even knowing she would die. Flaming arrows lit the night, and horrifying screams echoed the air, followed by the smell of burning flesh and scorching hair. Overrun now, the battering ram smashed through the gate. What could she have done differently? It didn't matter. It was too late. Surrounded, she was tightly pinned against the castle wall, sword to her throat, and they bade her call. "Surrender," he says, she screams. "But no," says I will fight. No coward to be when I die. What say you? Are you with me, men? Silence, total silence, as he rode in. On a coal-black stallion, helmet shield pulled low over his face, geared in full armor, his weapons, sword and mace. 6 foot tall he was, and a deep fear struck her soul. Her captors stood at attention. She fell as they let go. Ivar Renault, just saying his name meant death. He was said to have killed whole villages with just a breath. On her knees, blood pooling around, she tried to rise. He removed his visor, and over the distance caught her eyes. She shivered. Aye, her death was nigh, and her kingdom would perish. Wherever his reigned truly darkness, nothing cherished. She had failed her people and her father, God rest his soul. Her home, her father's home, and his father before him, and she lost control. Pray my death is merciful. I and the woman and children, what of them? No, her soul cried, they have much to fear from him. Ivar Renault called the demon Knight of Death, bade her come near. His soldiers helped her to her feet, and she shook with unearthly fear. And she could not move, frozen to the very spot on which she stood. Yes, well, stubborn are we now? You will not come yet, you fight so good? Enough, though, it's not time to give up. You have lost the attack. Ivar, bring him to me. He jerked her arms, and her hood flew back. Well, now, what have we here? She's but so small a thing. And he laughed harshly, as he pried loose her father's ducal ring. He backhanded her, and blood passed her cut lip. His left foot struck out and caught her right hip. Down she went, flames of fire surging through her limbs. Badly she hurt, but she would not scream for him. So you do not wish to cooperate? Very well, it is your choice. Kill them all, he bellowed at the top of his voice. Mackie the stable boy, only one quick swipe and he lost his head. Blood poured, and the sightless eyes stared at her from the dead. No, no, stop, please. I will do as you wish of me. Only please, I beg you, let my people go free. Maniacal laughter thundered across the castle grounds as night faded away. The dungeon now held her people, and she, imprisoned in the tower at the break of day. It was a cold morn, and she shivered as she tried to drown her pain with sleep. The stench of dry blood from her wound, and the feel was quite deep. What manner of man this, and what purpose did she hold? She had not immense wealth. Her kingdom was not set to gold. Ay, and now her tears fell where only she could feel. Awaken, awaken, she begged, but no dream this, it was real. Thundering hooves deepen the night, into the shadows they ride, big black stallions wild and untamed, heads held high. Their speed, their echo, dirt from the old dusty trail, indeed, if anyone had seen, would swear a vision from hell. And in the front rode Tarvos, a burning rage flame in his soul. Haste, haste, he thundered, the wind capturing the word's flow, and foam flung from his horse's mouth, but his followers paid it no heed. In many past nights he was the chosen one to lead. No fear, not of man, nor of elements, nor of ghosts of death. No words of sorrow, nor words and deeds from a coward would fill his breath. He was a mercenary true, secret warrior for Anna Lay of Castle Brighton, a seer of minds, a seer of events, and now she was frightened. Pray her thoughts had this time seen an untrue event, and needless worry over an unnamed incident. She bade him discover how their cousin had fared, for her feel was something not quite right there. In the night it had come, awakening her from sleep so sound, the fear he had held her as her tears tumbled down. He loved her, yes, but only as any brother should do, and to think he had only known her for a year or two. Kidnapped at birth he was, shipped to a land far away, raised to fight, to steal, to keep the constables at bay. A street urchin, trying to remember Danio's daily list. Failure would earn him the impact of a fist. At the age of 10 and 6, Anna Lay's men stole him in the night, his sister, his twin, on a journey to set his life aright. He had no use for castles, riches, nor high society, but stay near her he would, for she had set him free. He knew not their cousin Ulrich, but he must ease her mind, praying furiously that they could reach their destination in time. Tarvos and his men, numbering 21, still followed night's shadows, so ready to face their enemy. And in the castle she knew she would be defeated, her pride could not hold. Only 3 days in the tower, she shivered, oh, but the nights were so cold. Was an old iron bed, a mattress made of straw, no covers, no pillows, no nothing at all. Her heart ached as another scream echoed through the air. Oh, mercy, sweet mercy, this was all so unfair. The screams quieted, the victim failed to survive. One by one her people were dying, yet they kept her alive. She dared not look from the tower's window to the yard below. Once before, yes, and the sight had burned her soul. As she lay down, visions of death would always haunt, a jackal's blood feast, killing as was their wont. Why must I live as my people perish from this earth? What is their wish for me? What is my worth? Her leg rested limply atop the hay, the feeling long since gone. Yes, death would come for her, and it would not be long. A rat scurried across the stone-cold floor, then stopped, catching her eye. He seemed to say, "My lady, you are mine, won't you die?" A furious bout of coughing, a trace of blood passed her lips. She stared at it, rubbing the drops between her fingertips. Fire was set in her thigh, then rage overtaken her spirit. Another scream shattered the night, but she was too weak to hear it. And she thrashed upon the bed, willing her life's blood to cease. Oh, to end this torture, I am begging the nightmares to leave. Was of no use, though. No matter, for fate bade her stay. But peace had come from the land of dreams at the light of day. A darkness settled her mind, and her soul so stilled, and in the courtyard Mary was raped by many, then savagely killed. He had come, the evil one was here. Her leg was useless, and her heart filled with uncontrollable fear. It was weakness, aye, and helplessness that tripled her ragged breath. Her ragged heart beat, so many tales of him she had heard as one she would wish not to ever meet. What twist of fate set him warring within her castle walls? She knew him not, for she had thought and thought. No, she did not know him at all. No matter, though. She shut her eyes tightly as his footsteps echoed across the tiny room. She felt his eyes, the heat, the hate, the demon sense of doom. She held the tears, begging to be released, but how she did not know. Mercy, mercy, please, mercy. Words from her mind flowed. Mercy? Mercy? He questioned. She hadn't spoken them aloud, had she? No, milady, oh no, for you there will be no mercy. You sleep not, this I know, so my words you can hear. Do ye hurt? And Monica laughter that fed her tears. Think well, my lady, one day soon I will be in your memory, and regret ye will the day you ever cross me. For now you will remain a prisoner, and each day you will beg for death. But it will not come. No, it will not come till I decide your final breath. My lady, you will suffer greatly for the wrong you have done me. And so saying, took his whip and sliced the skin upon her right knee. Oh, she had been wrong. She could still feel this was no dream. So hard she had tried to be brave, but no more, and she screamed. It was a loud, agonizing scream, one to wake even the graves of dead upon the hill. It was so loud even her people in the dungeon cells caught death's chill. With one hand he jerked her up and slammed her furiously against the wall. He held her there, tightly by the throat, preventing her from a fall. It really mattered not to him, but he wished her to see his eyes. She had to know. Oh yes, she would know. She would remember her lies. She now knew who he was, and terror then struck her soul. But that had been so long ago, back in the days of old. A would-be suitor, even then she had feared him, turning him away. Not good enough, she had thought, and he had vowed to make her pay. He would show her, indeed. He would show each that had shunned him. So many, but yes, he would show each of them. A pauper's son with an evil eye, it was often said. So unusual a color, the lightest of red. Whicher it had to be, this boy, no other could explain. And he remembered the heartache, the searing pain. The pauper and his wife disappeared when he was 10 and 5. People wondered by, but never voiced the fears they were no longer alive. In truth, they had run from him, leaving him all alone, and away his memories were chased as the lady let out a moan. Once he had loved her fiercely, would have done anything she desired, but no longer, no. Now his hate was a raging fire. He let her fall in a heap on the floor and left her where she lay, the sound of the lock turning in the heavy door and his footsteps as he walked away. She tried crawling towards the bed, but her body was set on a raging fire. No longer was she cold, as her body's heat grew higher and higher. There she lay, not even attempting to move, for the pain was much too great. And still she lay as the sun left the sky. Then, as the hour grew late, blood and sweat covered her brow, and a putrid smell invaded the air. The rat returned, staring curiously with his beady red eyes as she lay there. He moved towards her, sniffing the air with his little nose, shuffling this way and that, treading upon her ripped clothes. He loved the smell of blood, and the feast before him was like any before. Little noises behind him, more rats, and she hadn't strength to fight them. Soldiers disappeared quietly along the walls of the castle keep. Silently, Travos and his men broke their necks, laying them in eternal sleep. It was easy scaling the castle's walls, for all eyes were on the action below. A wee little lass was singing, her voice catching fearfully at the evil one's loud bellows. No, lass, no, it must be a happier tune. And with a quick motion, her little head rolled. Her mother was brought forth right before her little one's body grew cold. The father's curses only made them laugh, for what did they have to fear? They were soldiers of the demon night, of death, and that's why they were here. Sing, old man, sing us a happy tune, and you better make it good. He did not need to be told their meaning was well understood. His Tessie still lived, and only he could keep her that way. "No, Tom, no! Let him kill me!" And he sent her to her grave. She had no wish to live after suffering the enemy's evil touch. Deep down he mourned, oh God, but he had loved her so much, and his little Cassie would never celebrate her 7th birthday. He closed his eyes, let the tears flow, and prayed. The soldiers jerked him roughly and tied him tightly from the saddle of a horse. "Open the gates!" the soldiers shouted, and a whip landed with brute force, and the stallion bolted through the gates, dragging Tom in its wake. But Suetonio caught him, and shaking his head, thought, oh, what a big mistake. Travis would not have to open the gates, for now the deed was done. The remaining soldiers kept to the shadows, ready to join the fun. Suetonio, Melania, and Antonio found the dungeon, quickly overpowering the guards. Their cries for help went unheard over the screams from the courtyard. Arms were quickly found, from spear to axes, pitchforks, anything of use. Even in their weakened state, they would fight this enemy's abuse. Quickly they rushed the enemy behind, catching him unaware. The battle raged, blood poured. In safety from his window, the evil one stared. Who dared invade his domain? No matter, he would not cast out again. He would not be cast out again. He was all-powerful, and as times before, even now he would win. He walked from the window, tied back his long red locks. As he donned his helmet, he heard 3 chimes from a hall clock. Would be the last sound he would ever hear. As Travis swung his mighty sword, his head rolled, he fell, and his life's blood poured. Travis picked up his head, sightless red eyes, evil no more. He threw it down and walked through the open door. In the courtyard, enemy soldiers had been captured and tied. 2 more of the villagers, and 1 of his soldiers had died. Savos. Ah, but he had been a good one, and his woman would weep. But such was the price of a soldier facing death's eternal sleep. The villagers that yet lived were hugging and weeping and mourning their dead. Travis watched as a young girl bandaged Tonio's bloody head. Not many injuries, good, and none too severe. He walked among the people and felt Annale's fears. He knew then that the cousin he sought had found death, and he shook his head, letting out a deep breath. He had failed her. He had arrived too late. Death had been their cousin Ulrich's fate. My lord, a young lady rushed to his side. Her blonde hair was matted in sticky blood, mingled with tears. She cried, "What of our lady? Did you not free her from her prison tower?" And as she spoke out of turn, she cowered. Too many times her tug had troubled her so, earning a slap or a tongue lashing, but she just had to know. The lady had saved her from the harsh fate of war. Her family could not feed her, but turned out they were poor. The lady had taken pity on her, taught her to read and write, and given her secret lessons on how to sword fight. She was the promised of Ulrich, but no longer. A fire raged inside, and the tears became stronger. Instead of the slap she expected, up the tower steps he climbed. So many, he took 2 at a time. The lock held fast. The guards had fled with the key. Somehow there was a way to enter. They had to be. The battering ram was brought forward, and in minutes the door was free. Red beady eyes everywhere, and he lit a lantern to see. In a pool of dry blood she lay still as death. But no, he saw the movement as she drew a shallow breath. The young lady from before appeared and bade him come this way. On her bed he laid her, as dawn appeared, starting a new day. Her name was Tashina, Duchess of Castle Stillmage, and 100 acres besides. Her parents were dead, no brothers, none to carry on if she died. Siana, the young lady, tended Tashina for a week, both day and night. They needed her, she begged. They needed her to fight. Live, Lady Tashina, live. We know not what to do. And by her bedside she sat, humming a haunting tune. Outside her door, her people, and they began to hum along. They all knew the tune well, was the lady's favorite song. As a wee babe, her lady mother had hummed as she rocked her to sleep, and now they gathered to pull her from a sleep so deep. The bodies were buried now, and Travis saw the castle's repairs. He went over the books, tending to the daily affairs. The villagers looked to him now as leader and a friend. They learned to trust, and once again learned to depend. But still they mourned for their lady that had lost her soul. and for her each night they prayed and let the tears silently flow. In the midst of time suspended between the living and the dead, asleep with no pain, no fear, lying in her big brass bed. And Annalee appeared to him on the 12th night of his stay. He had put Suetano in charge, for he would journey home in another day. That was not his wont, for here he had found a home, but he could not leave Annalee to survive this world alone. In bed he lay, Tashina across the hall, sadness in his heart, so many emotions struggling inside, tearing him apart. Love? He knew her not, so how could he feel this emotion? Was it real, or could it be just a fanciful notion? He rose from the bed, quietly creeping in her room, gazed longingly at her face. So beautiful was she, a flower made just for this place. He would never fit in a world, though. Here he'd been at ease. For the first time in his life, his journey had led him to peace. But leave he must, his mind already made, and already he was packed. Yes, he would leave, and pray for the strength not to look back. She was his temptation. Her vision would not go away, and that is why he knew he could not stay. He walked back into his room, and Annalee stood in the center. It was only her spirit. This he knew as he entered. You must stay here, Travos, for Tashina will become your bride. I've seen your future, and she will remain always by your side. It is of no use to argue, Travos. You cannot fight fate. Now go to her before it is too late. Only you have the power to bring her back among the living. Only you have the gift worth giving. Travos knew not this gift of which she spoke as he lay down once more. Several times he rose, but lay back down short of the door. Soon he slept caught in such a beautiful dream, but too soon harshly awakened by a heart-wrenching scream. Deadly hands roamed her body, skeletal fingers grabbed her wrist, pulling her deeper and deeper into a deadly mist. They would not let go, though she tried to break their deadly hold. She shivered from terror, her body's temperature oh so cold. No, I'm not dead. No, I'm not. I want my life back. But they heard not her words, and the pain struck like a knife. I must go, she begged. I want so much to live. My people need me. So saying, she knew not if they would forgive. Strong arms reached, pulling her from her journey to hell, awakening her in a room in the arms of most handsome male. He held her tightly, holding death's demons at bay, his deep voice begging her, don't die, come back, don't fade away. Siana appeared at the door, then aroused everyone within the castle's walls. Hundreds of footsteps could be heard walking along the hall. Lady Tashina, the hall vibrated with their cheers. She was forgiven and smiled through her heartfelt tears. Annalee attended the wedding and had news of her own. She was also to be wed, and no longer would she be alone. Brother and sister, so alike, yet not really so, both knowing that now was the time to let go. Travos Brighton had no use for castles, riches, nor high society, but stay near Tashina he would, for her love had set his heart free. Cynthia Clark. If you like that, then perhaps you should read the book, or I might put it on here sometime. It's kind of longer than the poem, and the poem is pretty long, so might be in several different chapters, but I thought it was very interesting. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I kind of enjoyed this one. I love y'all. Have a good day. Peace.